Well, from 2016 to date, over 360 people are said to have died from electrocution due to defective power networks in the country. A more recent report shows that from January to March this year alone, 22 people died from defective networks of power distribution in several states of the Federation. This has become an alarming cause for concern, particularly with the coming of the rainy season, when power cables and much more are volatile. Today on the program Nigeria Today, we're looking at defective power networks and the looming dangers they pose. Why are we recording so many fatalities and even more injuries from electrocution and accidents? These deaths caused by aging electric infrastructure or neglect of safety standards by operators and users, or a combination of both. I am Shegun Ojelade. I'm being joined in the studio by two power engineers. I have with me the Chief Electrical Inspector of the Federation and Managing Director of the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency, NEMSA. I welcome to the studio Engineer Peter Eweso. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I also have with me Engineer Israel Abraham. He's also a power engineer and indeed the National Chairman, Nigerian Institution of Power Engineers. I welcome you, Engineer, to the studio.
Thank you very much, sir, for welcoming me.
I think I'll start with you, Managing Director NEMSA. Your agency is charged with a kind of regulator or monitoring or enforcement of regulation in the electricity industry. So why have we been having so much fatalities as a result of defective power networks or poor infrastructure? Why are people continue to die? 360 is huge.
Well, I always start by saying that electricity is very important. It's a very good servant, but it's a very bad master. If you don't handle it with care, actually, in fact, it results to a lot of disaster. Most of the electrical accident, electrocutions, or disaster we've been having as a result of what you have said, defective network. When you say network is defective, it means that network really is not in a safety state. It's not safe, where you have cables hanging instead of being supported by the material, the insulator that carries it. They are just hanging in the mid-air. The pole has bent, the pole is about to fall, or you find out that the substation where the power is being fed to houses, you find out that the feeder pillars are open, they are not with the proper standard materials. Like when you are fusing a substation, we have standard fuses and they have ratings. But what you have now is that you find out that somebody will just carry copper wire and tie it to where you're supposed to have fuse. And those ones, we call them improvised and unrated fuse for the network. What that happens is that the fuse is supposed to cut off supply when there is danger. But because you are wind a copper wire on that fuse location, when the problem is there and is going to cause havoc, you just be looking at you as you are looking at me, because he doesn't understand, he doesn't know what, he can't understand, he can't melt, and so it will be there until harm has been caused. The cable that we see hanging in the air that is no longer what is supposed to carry it, we call it insulator. You know, when the line is going, you will see one thing that's on top of the pole on the cross arm. The conductor carries current, the power is right on top of it, but many times they are out of it, and if nobody actually attend to it, suddenly it will drop.
Okay.
You have sometimes you have cables, conductors, we call them kinks on the line. You will see they have unwinded themselves, they have unstranded, then there are gaps. Those gaps that actually existed, because the current is not jumping those gaps, you see it will be glowing at night like a bulb. So if you seize it, Nigerians should report straight to the operator and report to NEMSA so that they can go and check it and change it. But if you don't check that, over a period of time, it will be melting gradually until one day it will suddenly drop.
Okay. Now, Engineer Israel, what are your initial comments on this part? Let's start from there. So many fatalities. Why is our case different?
Well, our case is different for many reasons. Some of them has been highlighted by the Chief Electrical Inspector, as rightly said just now. But you have other things. Ignorance is also a factor. We have a very large population, most of them ignorant of what it is to use electricity. And by and large, the best you could always do is continue to educate, enlighten, and get the operators to actually do their job well, or get their network in the right perspective. So when those things are done, gradually the populace will get used to it, and you can reduce this to a large extent when you have good network. Because from your caption as started, you talk about the network, and that's actually a major factor. When things are not properly in the right place where they should be, little things could go wrong. And for a population that is, we have a very large population where ignorance is very high about the use of electricity, especially, is very high. So some persons may not even know that it's not even good to touch a cable. You saw a cable falling down on the road, you may just think it's dead, but it may not be dead. It may be live, and somebody can step on it, or anything could go wrong. We even have some of them falling on roof of houses, and have fires, or even electrocuting persons or people.
Yes, so we've heard of amateurs, non-professionals tampering with electrical installations. We don't have light in our house. Somebody quickly climbs wooden ladder to fix it. You know, that is. Could you call that ignorance? Do you call it suicide? Why have the authorities, like your agency, continue to allow such things to happen?
Well, this agency never allows such to happen, because our mandate is actually to ensure that those who are carrying out electrical installations, either at the highest voltage, to transmission, to distributions, wiring houses, are actually certified person, qualified person, who knows, who have the skill, who know the consequences. Like my colleague said just now, it's not just only ignorance, just that I don't care attitude in Nigeria, because they call you to come and carry out a job, and you know you don't have capacity, you don't know it. And that's why a lot of the operators whose staff have died, it's not only that the staff have died for unwanted reason, they are deliberate thing that the man who has been contracted does not understand what he's going to do. So what we've been saying is that people should ensure that if you call an electrician to work for you, ask the person, are you a certified licensed electrician? If he says yes, you can demand for this license, because we have 4 categories of license and certification we issued to electrical workmen personnel. One is category D, the other one is category C, category B, and category A. Every person has got different activities limit to which you can do. And if you are given category D, you have to carry out house wiring, and then you climb the pole like you have said. In most cases, no hand glove, no safety wear, and the person just climbs. In fact, most cases too, it's just annoying. You see somebody, he climbs the pole. He does not know, because there are procedures. If you want to go and work to give somebody light, there's any problem, there are procedures. The person will take what we call outage. The person will ensure that after taking outage, he will go to the pole and have a means of checking that the line is off. But in this situation, when the discos take light, the man will quickly climb, I want to work.
I will still ask you the relationship between the discos and your agencies. Now, but before then, let me ask you, Engineer Israel. You know, you in our neighborhoods, especially in the suburbs or in rural communities, you see a transformer house that is just right there beside the road, not protected. Even you see lights glowing from. It's like that. Everybody in the community goes there to change the lines anytime there is no power supply. Now, is it defective monitoring? Is it ignorance? Or that even the regulations is not well enforced? I mean, why? Why do we have that kind of danger right there among us in the communities?
Well, what you pointed out is the reality of what we have, and that cannot be wished away. But the truth about it is that we could do something about it, and that is actually the present danger we have. Such kind of things, and it exists in most communities, even in our neighborhoods. I mean, wherever you can call it, all part of the federation. Such are realities. But who could sort that out? The first people to sort it out are actually those who are in charge of it, which is already the distribution companies. They're supposed to actually take charge of that, get back their network in place, begin to fence off, close up those areas, put new coverings and whatever, so that you can isolate the persons or
let me ask the DG NEMSA. Yeah. Do we have standards in the installation of transformers? Because I have seen a situation where the transformer went off in flames. I have seen a situation where somebody inadvertently or knowingly just walks there to fix something, and the guy got electrocuted. Do we have standards?
In fact, even at home, in our houses, we have standard. There are standard procedures. Even if you are in your kitchen, there are standard procedures. It is because of lack of following standard construction practice that results into all this. And why we have most of all these defective network abound is mainly one, bad construction, poor construction, substandard construction. Because under the law, under the regulation, on no occasion should you install a transformer, and before it is commissioned, that transformer must have been properly fenced. They must have provided all relevant protective devices with a gate and a key, and you put a danger sign to say, please, you unauthorized person should not access this place.
Run from danger.
Yeah, run from. What you said now is an unauthorized person. A man in the community suddenly see he doesn't have light. He just, in fact, he walks into the substation with barefoot. He doesn't have whatever. So those are the issues. And NEMSA is actually expected to inspect and test a substation, a transformer substation, before it is allowed to be energized. And we will never approve any substation that will not meet the required standard to be commissioned.
Do you work in the communities, or you just work with the discos in their offices? Do you have men who go around to check some of these?
Well, let me just quickly say this. NEMSA has 19 field offices, inspectorate offices across the country, because their job is not office work, it's field work. And like we are talking, all this bad network we are seeing, defective network, are men on regular monitoring they carry out to check. And once they find out there is some, if they see any network that actually will perceive there is danger coming, we instruct the disco, please go and fix it. And we've been doing national monitoring, and with the field offices to do their own local monitoring, just to ensure that the discos are playing according to the rule. In fact,
that's a serious one. Discos are playing to the rules.
Yeah, we make sure they play to the rule. I can give you an instance. For example, even the Honorable Minister himself is even part of the inspectors. I can tell you many times he will call me and say, MD, you have your pen and biro there. I say, yes, please take this down. I've seen people boys playing football under a line that is dangerously positioned.
Okay, so, we come back and pursue that line of a line that is dangerous and people are doing business under it. We take a short break now. When we come back, we'll pursue more of these areas. Now the program is Nigeria Today. We're taking a look at poor power infrastructures and the danger they pose especially now that the rainy season is very close by. We will take a short break, like I said, and before we come back to the studio, we'll take the comment of some Nigerians that have spoken on this topic.
Any trained electrical person cannot put a lifeline over the roof of someone because he knows the implication. So he will never try to do that. In most cases, you see they must have run the high tension before you see the villagers now coming to develop under it. And so what needs to be done is the orientation through their district heads, the village heads, and whatever that needs to be done, not the power holding or ADC people, because there's no way they will put a lifeline on top of somebody's roof.
It's dangerous to human life. It's something that can kill. It can blow up at any time. Go to the rural communities, because when you get there, you see things happening. They just come to.
Well, we apologize for that picture that just froze there. Well, we're back in the studio with the program Nigeria Today. I still have my guests in the house. Engineer Peter Waso. There's one that we all know all too well, and that is people operating under high tension lines. These are 132, 133 kVA lines. 330, yes.
Even 11, even 415.
Even 450, yes. Nigerians, they build under it, they buy and sell under it. There is a market under it, a flourishing community under high tension lines. Because it has not happened does not mean that there is no potent danger there. Yeah. So, what do we do? What is your agency doing?
Well, NEMSA actually has been in the forefront of vanguard of educating people the consequences of doing business under transmission line, under sub-transmission line, which is the 33 distribution, even the 415 volt. Yes. In fact, it takes your life in a split of a second. And we've given a directive after the incident that happened in Calabar, where you at the viewing center where some persons lost their life and so many things were burnt. We're giving a directive to the discos that they should please ensure that all the houses currently now, because we can't now say go and start demolishing, because demolishing of those houses under the transmission line or any kind of high voltage line is a tripartite requirement. It requires the federal, the state, the local government, and the utility companies. But the first thing to be done is that, like that man was saying, you pass lifeline on people's roof or people are working there. The first thing to do is to make sure those people are safe, because they are actually ignorance of the consequences. Some of them, even when you say consequences, it's not. They are not unaware.
It's strange to them.
Yes, no, they are not unaware, but they just felt they can continue to. You can imagine TCN has built a line, and they have paid somebody to simply remove your premises from. He is being paid, and that has to be demolished. But the person simply collect money, even build another house, put it on rent, and remain where he is.
Why is it impossible to demolish the house?
Yeah, you see, you know, in most cases, when you have actually paid somebody off and he has removed his window, you go. And most of them come after, long time after these lines have been built. So the first step we've taken to say, any house, anyone under a line, 330, 132, 33, 11, please go and disconnect that house. When the person do not have light in the place, that is definitely the person can't continue to stay there. Okay. Two, we've equally make sure to tell the discos, under no condition should you put supply in a premises that is being built under a high voltage line that constitutes risk to life and property.
I will come back to you because I still have more experiences on situations like that. Is it not a landlord that approaches the discos to come and connect his house? That is when disco will know that, okay, this house, somebody will just go there and connect himself. It is happening in the suburb, in the rural area. It's just like somebody said, but we'll come back to such issues. We are entering the rainy season. And from information that we have, these dangers are most common during this period. What are the precautions? What should we watch out for? What should we avoid?
The first thing I will recommend is that Nigerians should be more aware of their environment. They should look very well to see, because the rains, of course, we are humans, and nature itself has a way of balancing events. Take for instance, if rain is falling and the windstorm, I mean, it's not the discos or whatever that can come and do that. The windstorm will blow. They are expected to make their network strong enough to withstand windstorm, but there are nature sometimes could go over some of those things. So I would not want to say it's because the network may not be very strong. That is why it can push down a pool or force something. So it can happen. So all we need to do is to be sure that wherever you stay very far. Have the necessary limits in your house from the pole, because there's always setback. There is right of way. If we follow those right of way in our construction and maybe the necessary what do you call it? How do you call it? They call them the development control agency. Take note and ensure that houses are built where they should be. The poles or the pylons or whatever cannot get close to the house. Even when they try to fall, there will still be that gap.
Okay.
So some of those things are part of what is not available, and I think that is one of the present danger we have.
I think you should say something.
I would like to contribute.
Yes.
I want Nigerians actually to be very watchful. Now we are entering the rainy season. Most of the network, some of them have aged. So we should be observant enough to see any cable that is about to fall, any pole that is about to fall, any wire that is not staying in the position it's supposed to be, it's not on top of the pole. People should watch. When you see such situation, report it now and immediately. At the same time too, you have trees close to the lines. So we should at this stage make sure you trim those trees, because when, like what he said, when the storm blows, when it break the branches of trees, it fall on the line. But if we have taken off those branches before the rainy season, there will be no tree, there will be no branch that will fall, that actually will fall on the line and cause havoc. And as much as possible, people should actually be very careful. When rain is falling, please try to stay off any network, any power line, whether 132, 330 or 33 or 11 or 415, even 240 volts kills. So what we need to get prepared for at this stage is that Nigerians should actually be very, very observant and know that if for any reason there is even wind that has blown, you see wires have been broken down, please don't live inside your house, or you want to go and carry the wood from it, because when there is rain or rain has threatened to fall, if that wire is carrying cable, anywhere water goes, because when there is water on the ground, the current transverses every other place that the water is.
Okay. Now, Nigerians will tell you that we have reported many times to the disco in our area. They never came, and the only guy that came is asking us to bring money. Have you heard of cases like that?
Yes. You see, what I want to tell you is this one, is that this power sector is developing very fast. There are challenges, but those challenges are not in some. It's not that we cannot summon them. What we say is this one, is that if you have reported a bad network, or you are trying to prevent something, the first thing Nigerians should do, make sure they record it in their logbook. Okay. When it's inside their logbook, after you record it, it's inside the logbook, the time you reported, make sure you know it, and then, God forbid, if anything now happens, then there is no way the disco or the person who actually did will be absorbed. You remember the one that happened in Yanya? Yes. Just like what we are saying. The disco actually took it up and make sure that the appropriate officers who are neglected, who are negligent, were actually dealt with. Okay. Because to me, if the disco do not maintain their network properly, even during this rainy season, yes, they will go around. But I'm saying that Nigerians should help them. Okay. But they on their own should do more by checking those networks and put them in the shape that will not cause harm during the rainy season. Because rainy season, accident is more prevalent when you don't put the network in the shape they're supposed to put them.
Well, the program is Nigeria Today. We can't go any further than this because of our time. We look for more time sometime to to come and talk about the challenges in the power sector, especially as it relates to bad networks. I must thank you, Engineer Israel Ibrahim, Abraham, the National Chairman, Nigerian Institute of Power Engineers. I thank you for all that you've said on the program.
Thank you for listening.
And then the Chief Electrical Inspector of the Federation and DG NEMSA. I must equally thank you for your comments on the program, Engineer Peter Eweso. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Until we come your way with yet another edition of the program, on behalf of my producer and everybody in the studio, I am Shegun Ojelade, hoping that we shall see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.